Ema?
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Good. Doing good.
Good. Are you wanting me to kick off the meeting?
Yes, please.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Well, let's do a roll call. It is Thursday, January 18th, 2024, 7 o'clock. We're going to be starting our Arts Commission meeting.
Okay. Well, thank you, Tima. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Let's see. I don't think Amanda is here yet. So I will just go down our roll call. Trias Andrews.
Here.
Karen Burrig. Here. Tima Carlson.
Here.
Daria Loy.
Here.
Emma Lugo. I don't see Emma. I'll come back. Josh Planton.
Here.
Choir.
Here.
Rebecca Sira.
Here.
And there's Amanda Alwine.
Here.
Great. Okay, we're all here waiting for Emma. Well, good evening, everybody. Passing it back to you, Tima.
All right. Well, let's start with our public comment. And I don't think we have anybody. Whether or not Michelle and Trias would be part of that section doesn't look like.
No, they are making our presentation.
Okay. So let's do please a vote for the adoption of the agenda for today.
Does anybody need to change or alter tonight's agenda?
No, I motion to adopt.
Awesome.
Perfect. Do we have a second? Wonderful.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
I did, Trieste.
Thanks, Trieste.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, our agenda is passed for January 18th. If you have a moment to look at the minutes for December 21, which are at the end of this agenda for today. If there are any changes, please let us know. All right. Do we have any changes that are needed, or would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
A motion to approve the minutes.
Mr. Condit.
Oh.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Any opposed? Great. Our minutes for December 21, 2023 are approved. Let's move on then to our presentation, our first for 2024. Very
Yay!
excited about this new possibility.
And I'm seeing that Emma is here. Hi, Emma.
Hello.
Oh.
And I want to say I'm super happy to see all three of our new commissioners. Welcome. If you have any questions as we are proceeding, feel free to just say, hey, what's going on? I have questions. But we're very happy to have you here. All right. So our first presentation this morning, our only presentation for tonight's meeting is coming from Michelle Lee with the Oregon City Children's Theater, and also Trieste Andrews. They're going to be discussing an important topic, which is the proposal and research and support that is growing for an Oregon City Arts and Cultural Center. So, Michelle, maybe you can introduce yourself for folks who don't know you, and then I'll have you and Trieste take it from there.
Sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Michelle Lee. I am the founder and director of the Oregon City Children's Theater. We did our first production in 2005, so 2024 marks our 19th season in Oregon City. I was a registered nurse for 22 years, so most of that time I've kind of had both positions. I officially retired about a year and a half ago after a post-COVID injury. So it led me to do full time with my theater. And we got our first studio space, and kind of an initial goal for our theater grew into a much larger community goal that led me to meeting with Trieste, and just through our conversations, realizing that there really was a community need. Our children's theater is looking for its forever home, and the community is needing a center that could, I mean, I'll really get into it in our presentation, but so just through multiple conversations, it's led us this far, and we're excited to show you what we have done and learned and put together thus far, and kind of where we're going, and hopefully how we can all together bridge this, what sometimes seems like a very difficult thing to pull off, and many barriers in the way, but I think it's something that many people want, and the support is there. So get enough voices together to make it happen together. If I'm able to share screen, I'm not sure, Anne, if can I?
You should be able to. Let me just make sure that everybody has permission.
Sure.
It just says one person can share at a time, but you should have the ability. Do you see the green arrow down at the bottom?
I do. Okay. So I'm going to bring up our PowerPoint here.
There you go.
Can everybody see that? Excellent. So our primary topic and presentation is in regards to the development and building of an Oregon City Arts and Cultural Community Center, which I know is something that has been a goal of this commission and of multiple others. But I was asked the question, what is the problem you're trying to solve? And was kind of challenged to understand that in order to go forward. And so what we brought together from that was to create a safe space for the community to connect using a thread of arts and culture during a time of a growing mental health crisis and economic struggles. And then the second question I was asked was, how will the community benefit from this problem being solved? The first benefit was it will combat the real and perceived loneliness affecting both youth and adults caused by lack of community connection. On that same topic, this is a statement from the Office of Disease Prevention and Health Promotion. Oops, your pictures are right over my words, so I'm going to try to adjust it. There we go. That according to that study by Annie Case Foundation, the number of children reporting to have anxiety and depression increased from 2016 to 2020 by 26%. In Oregon, the increase is even higher at 11.5% of children having anxiety or depression, and continuing especially since COVID, even more so. One of the accepted and proven methods that can combat mental health epidemic is to create opportunities for community connection, creative expression, and a sense of belonging. When our communities invest in arts and culture, we are investing in an industry that stimulates the economy, supports local jobs, contributes to building healthy, vibrant, and more livable communities. And this is a quote from the Arts and Economic Prosperity. The study they just completed, and we'll get back into that soon. But the second way that this will benefit our community, or how this will benefit from being solved, is it will produce an economic engine that will stimulate commerce and growth throughout the county. And I'll show you how as we go on. I'm not sure, do you guys wait and have questions at the end, or do I need to pause, or will somebody just let me know if there's a question?
That's up to you, how you'd like to do it. If you'd like us to wait till the end, we can wait till the end.
Sure. And I'm fine either way. I just wanted to make sure if I was plowing forward that that's what you would like me to do. Wanted to talk about the Arts and Economic Prosperity 6 study that I had mentioned. This one was conducted in 2022, showing that Oregon's arts and culture sector contributed a monumental $829 million to the economy of Oregon. But specifically to Clackamas County, this was the breakdown, is that it generated 26.1 million in economic activity during 2022. It supported 573 jobs. It contributed 17.5 million in household income for local residents, delivered 4.5 million in tax revenue to local, state, and federal governments. And additionally, for Clackamas County, it found that 87% of arts and cultural attendees agree that an activity or venue where they were surveyed is inspiring a sense of pride in this neighborhood or community. Over 40% of attendees for a performance, event, exhibit, venue, or facility were from outside of the county. And 81% reported that the primary purpose of their visit was specifically to attend the performance, event, exhibit, venue, or facility. Many of you may already be aware of this study and the findings, but consider this is where we're at without a cultural center and where we could be with one in our county. So initial objectives for the Oregon City Cultural and Arts Center building is to have a theater in a black box space that can host productions, readings, recitals, and community events. To have dance studios for both soft and hard shoe options, meaning tap versus ballet, flamenco, things like that that are really hard on the floor. Music studios that could include a rehearsal space, individual rehearsal spaces, or recording studios. Art galleries that can feature artists from all modes of visual arts. Art studios, community creating space for painting, pottering, weaving, etc. So allowing the community to come in and partake in art studios. And then community gathering spaces for classes and gatherings. Our current organization goals are to obtain a building suitable for an arts and cultural community center, develop a plan with the City of Oregon City for the acquisition and funding of agreed upon building and location, organize with interested organization partners, a capital funding campaign, and a marketing campaign. Our journey to date. So part one, we've currently assembled a coalition, or currently we are assembling a coalition. It's still growing. We have assembled businesses, individuals, local and state government who have all voiced their support of a cultural center in our area. And I'll have a list at the end of the current supporting us, and we can talk more about that. We have acquired an engineer, an architect, a building designer, and are currently in discussions with a lawyer to help us through this process and help us once we find the building to help us navigate that. We have a capital funding consultant and a marketing consultant. I'll round back to those again in the moment. I was hoping our capital funding consultant could be online with us, but she lost power about an hour ago, she said, and had no internet connection. So, but I have some information I can share with you from her, but I am not her and I cannot say it as eloquently as she does, but I'm more than happy to share. Excuse me. Also to date, these are the documents that we have organized. We have a business plan. We have a funding and operating financial plan, and we have letters of support on file and ready to present wherever we may decide to go next to garner further support. And like I said, these documents are available, and actually we sent them to Anne so we can forward them to all of you for further review.
I think you have the business plan, the financial plan and the letter of support I got today, and I can get those to you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And we can.
I think they do have. I think you do have what was called the business plan.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's the capital funding plan that I gave I think a week or two ago, and today I gave the day-to-day operational plan. How is it going to sustain? What's our budget? What is the income? What's the and what do we need to pay? Just the budget.
The projection. Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So our first building or location that's been proposed that we've been having a lot of discussions around is Eastham School that's located at 14047 7th Street. There are advantages to this particular building and reasons why we're continuing to engage in conversation. One is it's centrally located on one of the heaviest traveled roads through Oregon City for both visualization and access. It has over 20 classrooms, a large office and reception area, It has a operating sink in every classroom, or at least they were operating. The school's been empty for over a year now, so hopefully still, but could be returned. A fully functioning, potentially cafeteria / kitchen. It is 80 to 88 accessible with an elevator. It has a large gymatorium. And then funding can include a bid for urban renewal funding, which I know there are challenges to that as well. But at least we know from a discussion that at least a bid can be put in. I know. So many challenges, but it's nice to know that we at least ask. And that's where marketing comes in and helps you on that side with speaking to the community. The barriers for Eastham School. It's currently owned and operated per 1891 land deed by the Oregon City School District, as long as it's being used for public school purposes. The school itself was vacated by the school in late 2022 and is currently under lease to a film production company. Multiple individuals and government representatives have approached the school board and administration with the prospect of this becoming a community center. At current, the building upgrades and construction needs are not fully known in order for it to open and operate as a community center. So we don't know financially what that could look like to just open the doors. But it's going to be the same with any building we go towards. So, but these are the current barriers that we're just discussing, talking about, and working our way through to see what makes the most sense on the other side as far as finding a building. The second building that's come up in a lot of conversations is the Oregon City Courthouse, located at 807 Main Street. Advantages of this building conversation is building is expected to be vacated by the county in 2025. It is located in the heart of Main Street and a facility that is already considered an economic engine for Oregon City, and one that we know the city wants to continue to be that potential down on Main Street. Support use in this fashion as a cultural center has been voiced by local city and state levels in terms of they would support the idea if we figure out how to make it happen. And again, a funding plan can include a bid for urban renewal funding because it's right in the middle of the urban renewal area. So those are the two buildings of hottest topic right now. Barriers to the second building is although conversation has been initiated with the county in regards to selling the property to the city. At this point, we don't know where that conversation lies or how it's progressing. The building requires a large amount of structural and functional renovations to operate as a community center. And also currently parking in the downtown Main Street area is very limited. And could that support this type of community center with this kind of flow of traffic? So what's next and how can you help? We are continuing to have conversations with the Oregon City School District and currently waiting for further replies. We're having continued conversation with the City of Oregon City staff and government, garnering support and, figuring out how can we maneuver this, what land makes the most sense, what building makes the most sense, and how can we all partner to make this happen for our community. And then to continue to gather support from individuals, organizations, businesses, and government officials. And how you can help is if, you come up as a supporter, offer a letter of support on behalf of, if you own a business or as an individual, for our community. And, the more our voices come together, the easier it is to not be ignored. I had said earlier on that there was a list currently of the people that we've spoken to who are in support of this cultural arts center and wanting to be a part of the conversation going forward. There's also some city officials that at this point they have voiced their support, but have asked to not be on the list as of yet, but they're definitely in full support. So we're excited to watch this list continue to grow. So this was my presentation. And I had told Anne I have the presentation from my capital funding consultant. If anybody's interested in kind of seeing how a capital program would unfold once we have a building, but I'm okay either way, depending on if you have questions at this point or.
Oh, excuse me. I do want to say, I noticed that James's name is on that list. In theory, James is very much a supporter of a cultural center, but he did say this proposal until there's more, you know, he needs to see more of the business plan itself and the numbers. So,
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but
It's just nice to vocally hear people saying we support this and the idea of a cultural center. You know, I'll put my voice behind that, but we understand there's a lot of groundwork and a lot of,
Sure. And he's definitely would love to see something like this come to the community.
yeah,
Just know there's a lot of steps to cross.
absolutely. If I can snap my fingers and make it happen.
Right.
Yeah,
So Michelle, I have a quick question. The
absolutely.
last meeting we had attended as Soul Flags, there was the thought that the school district might be moving their administration services into that building. Is that, if they vacated in 2022, is that no longer a possible issue, or is that something that they're still considering?
There's kind of a twofold answer to that one. Trist and I went to the last school board meeting to again take 3 minutes and kind of say, hey, here's something for Eastham. Even though the conversation has kind of been had several times, we're just kind of continually putting it on the plate and asking for further conversation. But when her and I arrived at that meeting, we saw on the agenda that there was to be an update on the bond that the school is intending to go after. So both of us agreed and stayed because we wanted to hear the update, because Eastham was supposed to be part of that bond, still could be part of that bond. But when they did the presentation, you know, it was fairly vague and not very specific what their intentions were. So when we both left that meeting, it left both of us really unsure exactly where they were going with the bond. Because what you heard that night when we did the meeting at my studio about a month ago, I don't know how long it's been, that the school district was, their intention was to get a bond to renovate or tear down Eastham and rebuild a new administration building, is what we were told by a valid inside source at that meeting, because he was at the meeting. I know that they've started having community meetings, the school has, and they are sharing their plans of what the next bond is supposed to include. My understanding, those meetings from an instructor and within the school district, is the bond was intended to build a new middle school. I'm not sure on what piece of property. Transfer Tumwata into a new elementary school and whatever renovations that would require, and to build a new administration building. So that's the three things I understand the bond that they're about to ask for included. So I wasn't sure suddenly of that number that he was throwing out that night. He kept saying $20 million, if you recall that night. That doesn't seem like enough to do all three of those things. You know, so I'm not really sure if he heard part of it, we heard part of it. I don't know. But that is my understanding, is that is what they're talking about. But after we went to the school board meeting, Trius did get an email back from the building administrator, which was great that he even reached out. He asked if he could see the business plan, which she supplied. And we're hoping to hear, but she wrote him back again and just said, you know, we'd love 30 minutes of your time. If possible, we'd love to just talk more about this. So we're hoping to hear back from him again. But I think, Triest, I don't want to misquote him, but he said to you, in terms of using Eastham, what did he say in that email to you in terms of where they were currently thinking about Eastham?
And he was vague about it, just that they had some general plans for it. He said, I just want to let you know that we do have plans for that building. That's about where he left it, but did ask for our business plan and any information, which, like Michelle said, we were really encouraged by that. So yeah, we're trying to set up a meeting so we can try to make some kind of reach out to the Oregon City School District. The one thing that we all want to do, the city and ourselves and going along, is to make sure that there's no dissension, that everything goes along as smoothly as it can be, and to find some kind of partnership if we can, so that everybody's kind of goals are met.
I hope that answered your question, Tim. It's kind of long-winded, but so lots of balloons, kind of plates still in the air. But if they're open to conversation, that's always encouraging.
And who does the deed revert back to if they aren't using it for public school purposes? And
The city.
The city, and what's the timeline on that if they're not touching it for a certain period of time? No, we don't know.
Oh, no, all it says in the deed, word for word, was if it is not to be used for public school services, I think was the word.
Purposes or something, yeah.
Purposes, thank you. That its ownership goes back to the city.
Well, so you would think if that's the case,
statement.
then if it's a movie, facility right now is using it, that's not a public school.
But the word
Right.
"if" can be a very long time if it is to be used for public school purposes. So as long as there's always some tentative plan for it, they can keep it for a while.
Yeah. I think unfortunately for them, fortunately for us, its location and its limitations in that location make it a very difficult spot for either an elementary school or a middle school, right? It's not big enough for one, so it's going to be a thing to see. And I think that's one of the reasons that they're willing to engage is I don't think they know what to do with it. But they have a piece of property and, I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to let it go either, because it could be a viable part of their financial structure. So, I'm hopeful that they will engage, and I'm hopeful that the city, we can get everybody to kind of, like Chris was saying, let's partner and let's talk and let's figure out how can we help the city, or excuse me, the school district to get what they want. They want a new administration building. And considering the building that's over by Jackson, that I don't know when that building was built, but it is very old. And for the health and safety of our administration, sure, I support that they need a new building. Is that really the best place for it?
It's older.
So we'd love to have that conversation. And can we not do something for the community and maybe find a better piece of property that would be better suited for an administration building?
Do folks have other questions? Well, I think this is exactly the kind of topic that the Arts Commission likes to get engaged in. And I know when the Arts Commission reconvened, 3 years ago, that a community center was something that was really high on the list and something that this group has talked about wanting to try to provide support behind. But as you know, the reality of what's the right spot, right? So, but I'm really glad that you are here tonight. And I think I would love to see if there's someone on the Arts Commission who wants to volunteer to continue to correspond with you and keep us posted, or Trieste, that's you, since you're already really engaged in the effort. See how we can help you leverage the conversation, talk with other people in the community. That's all.
I think one of the biggest hurdles for us has been where do we go from here? And I think we're taking each step as carefully as we can, and we've been recommended by the city to really discuss it with the school board, that right now it's in the school board's hands. And I think the biggest thing that we need is what Michelle said, is support. If you can write letters of support, and if you need help with those, I think we have 4 or 5 on file right now. And most of them, they said, can you give me a framework, which was not a problem. So if anybody needs help with a letter, I just kind of copied and pasted a lot of values on people's websites and said, hey, this is right in line with our own values and missions, and we support it. And so we have one from Tim Cook, and we from president of Clackamas Community College, and we have Cynthia Smith English from the Clackamas Rep, and some really strong community support. We have the Three Rivers Art Guild that brought it to their meeting on Monday and got 17 signatures. Like everybody at the meeting signed it. I know that when we when we changed the code back to allow murals in Oregon City, it all started with over 100 signatures from the public. And James Graham had just come in as economic development manager, and we just brought those to him and said, this is what the community wants. And then from there, he and his assistant, Matthew, who is gone at this time, they kind of carried the ball. But I think any kind of endeavor like this starts with community support. So whatever you can do, I mean, if you know people, if you know a lawyer, that we might be able, that might be willing to do something for it. If you know somebody in government or somebody in Clackamas County or somebody that would like to see this go through, I think that's where we're at right now, is as much support as we can get.
Well, great. We want to support you as much as we can. And I know personally through Soul Flags, we're going to do that too. Emma has a quick question.
Oh, good.
Well, I don't know if it's a quick question. I'm hoping you're still open in conversation right now with Arts Commission on this.
Yes.
So I'm wondering a couple of things. One is, what is your proposed budget for doing a center like this? And how much city funding are you going to be looking for? Like, how much of this is going to be private? How much of this is going to be public? I mean, obviously, the public part, besides the use of the facility, which is the city property, is probably going to require city funds too. And what is your strategy for trying to get that funding?
So, Michelle, do you want to take that one with the information that you have from Claire?
Yeah, I'm going to share screen with you again, okay? Oh. So like I said, this is from Claire Blaylock. She's a consultant who is helping with, oops, let's see. I don't know if I can.
Oh, it's a PDF instead of a PowerPoint.
I see. Okay.
You have to just move the thing on the side.
Okay, no worries. So possible funding sources, CREF, which is the Cultural Resource Economic Fund. It's state funding, usually awards between $100,000 to $2.5 million. The foundation support, the Miller Foundation, the Oregon Community Foundation, Murdoch Charitable Trust, there it is. Private family trusts, public bonds, urban renewal funds, project support / feedback from the Oregon Arts Commission, Oregon Cultural Trust. Individual donations. She said 80% of the donation dollars come from 20% of the donations. Capital campaigns can cost between 5 to 10% of the goal. So I said, these are the things that she said, this is typically with this type of a campaign where you would see this type coming from. I wish I could tell you more, but this is, like I said, what she organized. So she said, these are the principles and kind of the strategy from beginning a project like this to moving through it. I wish I could break this down more for you. I apologize. This is not my thing. And she wasn't able to make it tonight. If you didn't hear that earlier, she lost power and her internet connection. But I'd be thrilled to bring her back again at another time, as we progress forward. But this is what she laid out as a typical campaign principles.
And is this going to be a nonprofit? Is it going to be a branch of the city? What kind of an entity is this going to be?
That's actually an ongoing question at this point. We've discussed the variable differences between a 501c3 and a 501c6. In terms of funding and everything else that it affects, but it depends on the groups that want to come together to partner to make this community center, such as, yes, the city obviously is an entity involved because hopefully it's going to be one of their pieces of land, their property, especially if they get to take, if we're talking about the courthouse and or Eastham and the school district allows the city to take back ownership of that. And then in partnering with us, let's say that there's my children's theater. Let's say that there's Clackamas Repertory Theater. Let's say, and it's a conglomeration of 501c3s. So how do we best service those groups who all have a vested interest in the success of this community center? So there's a lot of pieces that, I think that's where a lawyer is involved. That's where there's there aren't going to be any rash decisions made. It's kind of a, how do we do this in the best interest of this community center for its longevity? Are you hoping that when this is done, it's going to look like the Multnomah Arts Center? We did. We actually went and sat down and visited with the general manager of Multnomah Arts. We visited with Lake Oswego Theater just to see how they started, how it came to be, and it's two very different structures. Lake Oswego is independently owned and operated by that theater company, where Multnomah Arts Center is payroll especially is controlled by the city. So it was very interesting to see both sides of that coin. So again, it's a conversation with the city and this group who wants to be part of making this happen, and kind of how do we partner through this and burden that financial side, so that we're not trying to put that burden back on an already overburdened community. We know currently, like our Parks and Rec is really trying to work its way out of a pretty deep hole right now. So we don't want to add something to that. So we don't want this center to become a financial strain. But we've also, yeah.
Thanks. I mean, my last question is, to what extent
I think we lost you, Emma. Are they still there?
Emma, you're asking good questions, but we lost your audio. Oh, maybe she'll come back. And those are all, she hit the nail right on the head with all those questions. Are you there? One thing that I would say is things that you really can't put a budget together. Oh, sorry.
What I said was just, what role do you want the Arts Commission to play in this going forward? I mean, I know that you want us to help generate letters of support, which is great. And Trieste is on this, and she's also an arts commissioner. Do you want more involvement from the Arts Commission? Do you want us to help with planning and implementation moving forward? Do you just want to kind of keep us updated on it? And kind of, this is one of the things going on in Oregon City. How active do you want us to be on this?
Honestly, I think that that's completely up to you and all of you to decide. It's does this seem like a project that you want to get behind, and to what extent? It's kind of the same with everyone else who's kind of joined the coalition at this point. Everybody has variable interests in what's happening, which is one of the reasons, again, why overall structure is not specific yet, because I don't know who wants to be involved. I think there's more people that I haven't had a chance to talk to yet, or Trieste hasn't talked to yet. We're open to conversation, and we're open to, because we want this to be successful. And it certainly makes sense to me that, the Arts Commission of Oregon City is involved in the Arts and Cultural Center, so I think further conversation would be amazing, and potentially, creating eventually this group that's going to take this to fruition, because, I have no doubts that I can't do it alone. I have no doubts that it's going to take a lot of people, pushing to make something like this happen. And I mean, you've all seen it already, the barriers that you faced, trying to get it off the ground is a lot.
Well, thanks so much. And if you can bring in the capital person sometime, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Have you had dialogue with Milwaukee, City of Milwaukee, because they have their cultural center that's led by Parks and Rec, and then they have a new entity that's the arts. And I don't know if that's through the city or a nonprofit, but they would be a good resource, I guess, to find out what, they went through to get to that point.
I haven't talked to them specifically, Milwaukee, but I did have a meeting with Diane Alves from Clackamas Community Arts Alliance, where the second one you talked about is actually through a developer. And she said, that be something you might want to consider, is to partner with a developer on something like that. So we're such at the beginning stages. There's so many more questions than answers. And we're just trying to take it one step at a time to see what's going to work best for everybody involved, like Michelle was just saying. So yeah, that's as far as we've gotten with Milwaukee.
And I'm happy for this group to discuss it more. I think Michelle just said it. So I want to say it's more than up to us. I think as the Oregon City Arts Commission, this group does need to be kept informed. And I would like to encourage at least one or two of the arts commissioners. Trish, you're already engaged in the project, but I think there needs to be an active back and forth between the coalition and the Arts Commission and grow that support. I think and keep us informed and let us keep, there needs to be we need to be at the table, I guess.
And I think one of my questions, because our art commission is so new, so what is the process? Like, how can the art commission really make an impact on that? Do we put something together as the art commission and present it to the city? Is that a process that we follow? Are we there just for discussions and help? So I think I'm a little unclear myself, because I think the art commission can be a tremendous support, but how do we go about doing that?
No, all really great questions. I think the proposal itself needs to cement. I love that there's this great coalition, but we really need to, until we can find the there. It's hard to create a budget. It's hard to say what so I think the way that you're doing it right now, you're kind of working both ends. You're building a coalition at the same time that you're exploring specific locations, and I think that is the right approach, because the bigger the umbrella, the number of folks in the community, there's a lot of talent here, obviously a lot of commitment. So I think it is right to build that coalition at the same time as you're looking for a location. You don't want to get one too far ahead of the other. I would love to see if I can help schedule a time with someone at the school district. I mean, I feel like if the Easton property is going to move forward, the first thing we need to do is just to see what is the there, and it's under school district's control. So as so you're talking with their facilities person that's right on, and then see what they can say, and then maybe we negotiate a part of the space, and then we can but I do like the approach of building the coalition at the same time as you're looking for the location, but you can't do budgets or anything until you secure a space.
Exactly.
Is there a way we as a commission could facilitate engagement with the community, basically drive feedback to this coalition that's forming around this idea of a community and cultural center or arts and cultural center, like either host a meeting where the group comes and presents, a more finalized project idea community people are all invited in, can, ask their questions, stuff like that. We can have sign-up sheets if people want to sign on to support the, concept or not, or even facilitate maybe even a survey of questions to the community of that the group itself is looking to, get a better understanding of as they prepare their final plan for, going out and raising capital. Is there something we could do along those lines?
I really love that idea. And Anne, I'd like your perspective on, is that something we could start working on before we meet with somebody from the school district, or is a meeting with the school district the very first step, which, we have had a little bit of a hard time getting responses back for them, but we're politely still asking for meetings. But yeah, I love the idea of getting community support, but where's our next step? Is it really with the school district first before we do that?
If I can, just quickly, Anne, and then I'd love your response. I feel like Trieste, I think whether Eastham becomes that spot or not, the idea of having a community supporting the idea of a community center and having that information as proposed, and as you guys were talking, I was actually taking notes over here about, getting more signatures and getting out in the community. And, I'm not sure how many of you saw the summit project that happened at Tumwata a little over a year ago, where all the kids got to design an area and they were told, if you could do anything with a piece of property, what would you do? And they were told movie theaters and strip malls and, ice skating rink. What do you want? And the majority of them said, we want a place where we can go after school, be safe and not kicked out. So they were literally asking for a community center. That information, I got a hold of the gentleman who actually started that project at Tumwata. He's one of the instructors there. And he's working on sending me photographs of all of their presentations so that we have that. That's basically, again, reinforcing this is what the kids in our community are saying, but I realize signatures have to come from adults, so if we can kind of put those together as a package, that this is what, whether it's at Eastham, whether it's at the courthouse, it belongs here. The question becomes where. So would I love it to be Eastham? Absolutely, because it's got so much already going for it. Would I love it to be the courthouse? I would make it work. If we could figure out the parking and we could figure out the structural issues. I think a community center can happen in any building that you can dream it into what, it needs to be a viable community center. So I think there's two things there. I think continuing conversation with the school district is huge, but also getting community awareness that we would like this to happen. How do you feel about having something like this in your community? Other support?
Well, and also I think dialogue with Parks and Rec, because I think of like City of Newport, they have a pool where they recently, maybe 5 years ago, did a remodel where they added a large space to make it a community center as well. So just confirming that maybe the city, Parks and Rec does not want to lead it, or if they do, what type of bond would be needed to generate that type of thing. But yeah, definitely having dialogue between city, county, school district.
Yeah, Multnomah Arts Center reports directly to Parks and Rec. That's who they're under through the city. Mm-hmm. And that was interesting. He told us a lot of the pros and cons of that.
Yeah, and Milwaukee, I think, as well. We went to a Lunar New Year event last year there at an old elementary school, and it was the Parks and Rec that was in charge of that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting. I hope it happens.
see Daria, you got your hand up.
Yes. So I actually really like the proposal that Josh made to have a role for the Arts Commission to create some catalyst and some excitement about this project and to really have a community involvement. And I really think that it really is, regardless, I agree with you, Michelle, regardless of the location, having community involvement is going to be crucial. And sometimes it actually can be really the catalyst that kind of creates a domino effect of excitement, And so I think it would be really wonderful if we, as Arts Commission, could think about strategies in which we can kind of try to play an active role in exciting the community. We can also involve the businesses around Oregon City because everybody can get benefits from an art center to be in the community, I think. And because it attracts, like the data that you, Michelle, showed, right? That everybody is a win-win for everyone, right? And I think we can try to involve the general public as well as the businesses and really play an active role in creating excitement. We can create an event where people can come and ask questions, but also we can try to collect signature and promote it. And really create a sense of excitement or expectation for something that is going to happen, right? It's just a matter of where. And so I think, we should really start with that personally, because I think there's nothing to lose. There's only to gain.
Let's have a party.
Well, that's making me think we have an event February 2nd, the Lunar New Year at Pioneer Community Center. Would it be possible for you to create some signs or posters and have just opportunity for signatures or dialogue?
Yeah, would we have an opportunity to do like a short presentation so people know why we're there and that they need signatures? I think it would be hard to, I love the idea, I absolutely love it, but just to be able, so people know what we're there for, or, do you know what I mean? Is there an opportunity to do a short presentation?
Not necessarily a presentation, but like a little table with information.
Okay.
And I mean, it depends, I guess, how involved you want to be, if you want to do it as a presentation or just to have somebody there to discuss with people as they, decide to sign their support or whatnot. But that's one of the most recent community opportunities coming up.
Right.
What's the time frame, Kima?
It is February 22nd, I believe, from 12 to 3 at Pioneer Community Center. And it's with Soul Flags, Oregon City Parks and Rec, School District, and the library, funded by the Oregon City Arts Commission.
And the 22nd being a Thursday?
February 2nd. It's a Saturday. Yeah.
Got it.
Actually, it might be a Sunday. I'm not sure.
It's a Friday.
Oh, maybe it's the 3rd, and I'll have to double check.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
No worries. Trace, we can talk about it. I'm filming all day that day, but I think, anything we can do or where we can go is great. Daria, I think that all sounds great. To keep getting the word out as much as we can. And like you said, build the idea and hope for a community center and like, what are we hoping to provide to the community? And other small businesses around town who are struggling to be able to do some of the stuff that they want to do. And when I say that, I'm talking about like some of the dance studios, things like that, to just do their recitals and things like that. It's hard to find space. And then artists who want to have a gallery and demonstrate, their art and, things like that. But.
And it's February 3rd, really quick, sorry.
February 3rd, okay.
Emma, did you have your hand up?
Yeah. I just wanted to say, I really feel like, the Arts Commission was really made for a task like this. This is really the kind of work we want to be doing. I do have a question for you, Anne. Maybe it would require reaching out to James. And that's just, I'm wondering, what are the limitations on what the Arts Commission can do in terms of involvement with this project? Because I know there must be some rules on what we can and cannot do as a city appointed advisory commission. So what, could you find out like if there's any limits on how we can be involved in supporting this project? Because I'd like to know that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel that because the Arts Commission serves as advisors to the City Commission, James felt it was really important that Michelle and other members of this coalition come and talk to the Arts Commission before they made a presentation to City Commission. And I think that we should continue to, like I said, we should at least at the very minimum be in communication with this coalition. But I think even more so, I'd like to be actively involved as you explore some different locations. So as Trieste and Michelle are trying to secure a meeting with some members of the school district, let me as staff to the Arts Commission help you do that. And I think, I would love to have some number of folks from our Arts Commission get engaged. I mean, I know we're doing things with the courthouse and we're doing other stuff, but would love to have some number of people on this group get involved in the coalition. And as soon as we can, I'll stop there.
And would it be possible to get that information from James on like where our boundaries are, and then maybe add this topic to our discussion next week at our workshop to brainstorm as a commission on what we can do, once we understand our limits a little bit more.
Okay. I mean, I think it's up to us as advisors to the City Commission to just say, as we look at the business proposal, how are things coming together and how can we provide support to explore that? I think that's accurate.
Can I ask a question? I don't know how to make the little raise hand sign.
Go ahead.
I feel like this is not totally on the topic of specifically just the art center, but I feel like coming in after there was the initial definition or statement of what the arts commissioners could and couldn't do. I know that James had come in again and given a presentation, a great presentation about like how we can be involved with economic development and different ideas. And a lot of the ideas he suggested we do, I heard feedback, were ideas that a lot of the commissioners who were there at the beginning were like, oh, we felt we couldn't do this kind of thing. So it seems like the definition of what we can and can't do is a little fluid. And maybe it was very strict up front while we were forming, because they wanted to see if we could like actually deliver, and we are delivering on things. So I think something that we could do, like we can keep, because I feel like we keep asking for, every time we talk about an idea, we're like, can we do it? We keep asking for some type of list, like defines like what can we can't and can, and it's always very vague. So I feel like it might be productive also to just be like, here's my ideas of how I would like to support this. Are you okay with this? Come with an idea first instead of waiting for what, like a definition of what we can and can't do to come up with ideas. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I like that suggestion. Okay.
And today I spent a couple of hours reading all the documentation that Anne sent us newcomers to the commission, and I couldn't find anything that talked to conflict of interest in regard to organize the events like this one. So I couldn't find anything there. I couldn't find the list, but I also didn't find anything that seemed to imply that this type of involvement would be against our role as arts commissioners. But that's what I found so far.
Well, I appreciate both of those comments, and both Choir and Daria are correct. I think suggesting an idea of here's the boundaries that we think we should be able to pursue. Obviously, we can't do everything, and that's why we're having a strategic planning session a week from tonight to talk about how do we want to focus 2024. So I think that's, and we'll keep talking about that in just a minute. But yeah, I think this is the kind of project we can definitely take on. And Daria, you're absolutely right. There is actually a conflict of interest statement that I need to send to all three of our new arts commissioners. Good, very much so. So I'll make sure
I found it online, but I don't know. Maybe it's not
no,
the long one.
This week's been a little crazy in terms of work time and offices being closed and open, and didn't quite get as much to you as I had planned to before tonight's meeting. Any other questions for Michelle as we wrap up this part of the meeting? But I do think in terms of next steps, Trieste and Michelle, I'd like to work with both of you to help facilitate setting up a meeting with the school district, because that's, I think, going to be an important first step.
Wonderful. Yeah, can help us with that. I think that's been our biggest and I think I mentioned to you, it's almost like a ping pong ball I felt over the last, go from the city and they send us to the school board, and then the school board says, or doesn't, and it's just back. It would be nice to be able to at least get some help on being able to make a connection.
Righty.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Michelle and Trieste.
Thanks for your meeting. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll be talking to you soon.
All right. We're going to move on to our discussion items. Number 1 is elect chair and vice chair.
Yay. So it says so among the other things that I also need to give the new commissioners is the thing in the city code that describes the Arts Commission. And if you look at the city code, it says that there are 3 officers, a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. Now, since we've always started, we've had Oregon City staff just write up the minutes. So that's what I do. I type up, I call it a meeting summary sometimes instead of minutes, meeting summary. So I don't think we need a secretary unless someone really loves doing minutes, in which case I'm happy to have someone else do it. But we do need to elect a chair and a vice chair. Now for all of 2024, team has done an awesome job as our vice chair, and obviously Tammy Jo stepped down as our chair. So what I would like to do first is just ask for statements of interest for both chair and vice chair. And I think we'll start with vice chair first. Is there someone on the among our existing commissioner who's interested in playing the role of vice chair? What does the vice chair do? The vice chair helps put together the agendas, and also convenes and moderates the meetings if the chair is not available. So that is some of the primary functions of a vice chair role. Is anybody interested in that particular role? Yay! Thank you, choir. Is there anybody? I mean, and I know this is probably going to be, we're such a great informal group, but I think choir would do an awesome job. Is there anyone else who's want to say anything or other thoughts?
My only thought
I think choir.
Choir would make a great chair. That's my one comment.
What were you going to say, Emma?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was so impressed with choir's work on the sculpture. I think that choir would be a great chair or vice chair.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your interest, choir. Would someone like to make a motion to have choir serve as our vice chair?
I move that we elect choir. What's your last name?
Hugon.
Well, whatever your last.
Hugon.
Oh, great. As vice chair.
I second that motion.
Terrific.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Congratulations, choir.
Yay! Thank you, choir. Alrighty, and as I said a moment ago, I want to thank Tima for her work this past year as our vice chair. She is interested in the role of chair. Is anyone else interested in that role for 2024? All right, if hearing none, is there a motion to nominate Tima for the role of chair in 2024?
I make a motion for Tima to be chair.
Awesome.
I second that.
Awesome. Are there any all in favor of having Tima be our chair for 2024?
Aye.
Aye.
Josh, I don't think I heard anything from you. Are you abstaining?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Josh. Sounds like
Thank
it's
you.
unanimous.
Yay.
All right. Well, congratulate our new chair and vice chair for 2024. Thank you
Yay.
both for your service. Appreciate that.
Quick question. Just, I know we have staff fulfill the role of secretary, but technically since it's an officer position, should we still make a motion to appoint you? That's
It's a good question. I think we probably do, yes. So can someone please make a motion to have Anne as secretary for the 2024 Arts Commission?
I motion for Anne to be secretary for the 2024 Arts Commission.
I'll
Do we have a second? Perfect. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Congratulations, Anne.
Thank you. Who seconded that motion? I'm sorry. I'm trying to grab the.
Josh.
Josh seconded. Okay. Thank you.
I did.
Thanks, Josh. Okay. Awesome. Terrific. Okay.
All right. So agenda for the strategic planning retreat on January 25, next Thursday.
Yeah. I do say, thanks for agreeing to take the time. I know that, we commit a full evening to this conversation meeting as our commission. So I appreciate people being willing to spend another night this month in our strategic planning. I do think it helps us though, just sort of focus on our priorities for this coming year. Last year, we had the strategic planning session at Soul Flags. We also met at Willamette Falls Studios. And we will be meeting in person next Thursday. Do people want to meet at City Hall? Do you want to meet at someplace else? Do you guys want to make it, grab some food? We don't have to have it necessarily be as formal as we do at the City Hall. What feels good to people for next week?
I think having food together is always a wonderful idea because it triggers a lot of creativity, sharing a meal.
Alrighty.
I'd be open to hosting at my studio and maybe all of us bringing some snacks and drinks to share, something like that, a little party.
Yeah.
Yeah, will it fit us, choir? Will it fit I don't know how many we are, 9, 10 people? Yeah. Oh, you're looking at me. Yeah, we could do potluck. I always like potluck.
And if not too, I'm in an old church building and if it doesn't feel comfortable, we can always move to a different room. So like one of the church rooms that are bigger. But I feel confident. I'm good in here.
Well, thanks for the offer. I think a change of scenery would be nice. Maybe I'll bring a bottle of wine, and or two. No. It's officially on the record now.
Okay, there's 10 of us.
Charcuterie.
I think potluck and is a great idea, and thank you for having it. What time did we suggest? 7, or do we say? I think we said 6 to 9. Is that going to work for folks? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's your address, choir?
Are you going to send an email?
Maybe an email so it's not over public.
Oh yeah, also
good suggestion.
That's a good idea.
All right, so I will send the address.
I'll text it to you, Anne.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. I like the idea of potluck, and I think that's great. Awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody. I think that will be fun. And I will, I remember when we did do our strategic plan I don't think we did one for 23, but one 22, that was broadcast with, as this meeting is always broadcast. So I think when we meet, we typically do broadcast our sessions. So I think the strategic plan will also be will certainly be recorded, and if not broadcast live. So I will be talking to the Willamette Falls folks about that. So we may bring a little camera or something in. Remember we brought a camera to Soul Flags? Could probably do something like that. So
okay.
So we will set that up. Okay.
Now finish discussion of selection process timeline.
All right, what does that mean? Okay, what does that mean? So this is specifically having to do with the RFP that went out. So our request for proposals for the replacement sculpture did go out, and there was some conversation. So I wanted to just make sure that we understood the entire selection process, and I'm going to pull up the timeline that we sent out to folks in the RFP. Sorry. Thank you for your patience.
Quick question. Are we going to discuss what topics we're going to talk about next week and put in an agenda, or are we going to be sent out an agenda for feedback or to add to for the meeting?
I thought we put a list together maybe a month or two ago. Did we, Josh? I wonder if that's anywhere. And if anybody made a note or it's recorded. I mean, we must have put together
in the minutes, from a couple months ago, if that's the case.
Must have been like 10 different items.
Yeah. Well, that's my one question too, is 3 hours can seem like a lot of time, but 10 items, if you're spending 30 minutes on each, you're well over. So I don't know how we wanted to whittle that down. If we wanted to send them out, we prioritize them. Everyone sends back what they would prioritize them as, and then top ones get kind of seated first, and then we see what we can get through or what. But up either way.
No, those are all awesome questions. I'm looking at some of our past minutes because I do recall the conversation that Trieste is mentioning. Why don't I do this? Why don't I look at our minutes from the last 2 meetings when we were talking about this, and I can make a list of what our priority, what our items are for the coming year. The finding art for the courthouse, the new courthouse, this community center, other priority topics, and I'll put together a draft agenda and share it with you guys at the start of the week. And then we can come into our we can start off the meeting by specifying exactly how we want to spend our time together.
Like how many items do you think we could fit? Josh, what are your ideas on that? 3, 5?
I would shoot between 3 and 5. I think you'd be surprised how much we can get into the weeds in some of those. So it just depends on what the topics are. Another one I was going to throw out, I might not have a lot of information before the meeting next week, but I am meeting with Salvador next week. Finally got a time that linked up with both of us to talk about the outreach he did a couple months back to the commission. So my goal is to come back to the group at some point with that information and what they're looking for and how we can put together a plan for addressing that.
I know that we were going to do that together, but do you need my help on it, or would you just like to ask me when you do need it?
Let me talk to him, and then I was going to circle back to you, Teresa, and kind of share ideas and see if there's anything you want to add before we come back to the full commission.
That sounds good.
Thank you, Josh. I think those are great. So what I will do, like I said, I will send out a draft agenda on Monday, and then we can, add to it or respond to that. So basically, I know it's the going public, art for the new courthouse, the community center, and then the other topics that I do recall that we took note of when we met earlier, like in November or December.
And the one that I remember too, and you might have mentioned it as the first item, Anne, but wasn't there one for like public recognition, public notice? I mean, just to get the Art Commission face out there to the public.
Marketing of the Arts Commission.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, marketing, a new website, that kind of thing. And then the other topics were, some of the things that James suggested that we do move forward with. So, yeah.
Discussion of where we would want the Arts Commission to have a presence at events and whatnot.
Okay, that's all good.
We should have a float at the teddy bear parade. I have an old truck. I have an old truck that we could dress up.
Great idea. Okay, do we have any other comment regarding the strategic planning retreat? Okay. Let's move on to the selection process timeline.
Awesome. Let's see. So the RFP did go out on January 9th, and the deadline is March 4th. Now we had said but we are going to vote when we meet at our March meeting. And one of the things that we wanted to check on, so when we talked about the selection process in the RFP, the Arts Commission will review application materials and select 2 or 3 finalists for an interview. We plan to hold the interviews at our March meeting, but that we will also share information about who we are inviting to the meeting with the McLaughlin Neighborhood Association. So if this was for informational purposes only, then they're welcome to come to the public meeting in March. But we agreed to share information with the McLaughlin Neighborhood Association since this piece will be in the McLaughlin neighborhood. So then the question came, just to clarify, so we will receive proposals, and then this group will need to choose who they want to invite to come for our March interviews. So, maybe we get 7 proposals, maybe we get 3, I don't know how many proposals we'll get. So I wanted to just confirm what process made sense for folks as we whittle down the group so that we can share information with the McLaughlin neighborhood before we meet in March.
Emma had her hand up first.
Go ahead, Emma.
Shouldn't we use some kind of objective, some kind of like we did when we were voting on the grants?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it needs to be something that can be documented, so that we were shown to be fair and objective in our judgment.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
And I can't remember, did we say we wanted to take the initial batch of submissions, say we get 7, and send those to the neighborhood, have them select 2 or 3 that they really liked, or prioritize them, and then we take those and then invite from there? Or were we going to share with them the top 2, 3 that we selected for feedback on? What was the...
Well, in the RFP, it states the Arts Commission will share the submissions from the 2 to 3 finalists with the McLaughlin neighborhood. So it sounds like it's already
we have to select.
Been narrowed. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you all should be the ones making those selections. They're welcome to come to the public meeting and and provide input in a public meeting, but I thought for the initials breaking down, it would be this group doing that. Unless I'm not remembering that correctly from our discussion.
I mean, I don't have any objections to how it's written here, that we would select 2 to 3 finalists and then share those with the McLaughlin Neighborhood Association. I know they meet, is it the first Monday or Tuesday of the month? So if we're getting them on the 4th, we're looking at interviewing them at the March meeting and then sending them to them for review probably at their April meeting. Does that fall into the timeline we have in the rest of this document?
When I wrote this, I was thinking we would get the materials and then we could share them back and forth and have offline discussion and then share information with them based on our own discussion, so that we would have enough time to turn around information and share with them who we're planning to invite to the March interview. Yeah, and you're right. They meet March 7th, the first Thursday of the month.
Okay.
So it would give us 3 or 4, give us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to give us 3.5 days.
Like the 2 and 3, send it to them for review, and then if they'd like to come voice any comments at the meeting in March, they could.
Yeah.
Okay.
So are we voting on these at the March meeting? I mean, are we going to do this like we did with the grant applications, where we sit down together as arts commissioners, we review each proposal, we give it a score based on the score sheet, and then we choose like the top 2 or 3 people at our meeting? Or are you, I mean, that's my understanding of how we did this the last time.
If it sounds too rushed, I mean, what I thought we ended up with, that we would have, we would pick 2 to 3 people to specifically interview at the March 21st meeting.
So we would pick those people before the meeting, and how would we pick those people? Would we send you our votes?
Email.
Yeah, we'd have to do it electronically.
Okay. Can we put together, like, for a February meeting, can we put together a score sheet, something that is fair?
Yeah.
Based on previous.
Yeah. Why don't we plan to do that at our February meeting? Finalize the score sheet. Because I'm realizing we don't have the time, I don't think, to do that.
And last time, Tina did all that. I mean, she did so much great work, including putting all this stuff together and making it really easy for us to vote. So I don't know if somebody else can do that this time or.
So I'm not sure if I understood what you just said. I'm sorry. Can you repeat what you said?
Yeah. No, that's fine. It was an incomplete thought. I was just kind of talking about how our last chair did such a great job of making all of this really easy for us to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be great if we had somebody else who could make it just as easy.
Could we just take the score sheet we used for the grants and then just adjust it to the specific project at the February meeting and just finalize that?
Sure. Okay, that's an alternative. Okay. Yeah, I will. I can do that too. Yeah. So why don't I? I can take the same criteria or the same score sheet that we used when we were reviewing the grants, and try to come up with a score sheet for our sculpture piece, and then we can finalize it at the February meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks, Josh, too, for pointing out that we needed to discuss that a little further. Yeah. Okay. I think that'll work. All righty. The other thing I'll send out is if we want to do potluck, I'll send out a little sign-up sheet, people, so we don't have everybody bring in the same bag of potato chips. So I'll send that out as well.
And one thing I wanted to ask too is I think at one time we had mentioned about putting a presentation together to lead off that meeting with where are we? What have we done so far? Where do we start? Where we are right now? And I had put that together for a presentation I did for Rotary. Do you guys want me to still do that, to tweak it up a little bit and just have a little, this is where we started, this is where we are right now? Would that be helpful? Do we really need it?
That would be great, Tria.
I mean, I would think if we want more of a presence within the community so they're aware of what we are and what we're doing, that
yeah.
It's definitely
and then even if we tweak it up there, anybody can use it. If anybody goes and talks about the Art Commission, it's there for anybody to have. Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for offering to do that, Trieste.
All right. Is there any more communications for today's Arts Commission meeting?
I have a couple. Did Jamie get in touch with you, Anne, with her list of the sculptures to send the RFP out to?
She did not. I will follow up with her, though. I assume that Happy Valley also had some office closures this week, so
yeah.
This is someone who worked for the city of Happy Valley, who had some ideas of where we might also be able to send the RFP. And again, so thanks for that follow up, and that's true for any other arts commissioners. If you are connected with an arts organization, or if you know of a place that we might want to share and encourage folks to look at the request for proposals, absolutely send it my way.
Right. And did anybody get in touch with you for the next meeting for the county courthouse art?
I did talk with Diane. What did she tell me? Yeah, we'll need to. That's one thing I would like for us to talk about at the strategic planning. Yeah, I think I will. I'll find out when the next one is.
Okay.
Diane Alves is our contact there.
Yeah, I did let her know that we weren't going to assign one person, but if she could notify us for the schedule of the meetings on each of our meetings, have a volunteer go.
Yeah.
I think that's how we decided it, everybody, right?
Yeah.
Go as needed. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Good. Any other communications? Great folks that people have been doing?
I have one. The mural is coming back to the Oregon City Library as of tomorrow morning. Me and my husband are picking it up. That's the 3-piece mural that was done by Westland, Oregon City, and the Confederated Tribes. The Confederated Tribes is still looking for a place. They don't have a place yet. I'm staying in touch with Stacia, but the Oregon City Library is ecstatic. So comes back tomorrow if anybody wants to see it.
Exciting.
Other exhibits, good stuff going on?
There is a fundraiser event, if the weather allows, that is, happening on Saturday from 5 to 7, and is in support of a local nonprofit called Breast Friends. And they provide support to women that are going through different stages of breast cancer journey. And there is a lot of artworks that were created custom for this event, as well as a lot of other artworks that artists in the gallery at Imperfecta, they decided to list as participating for the fundraiser. So we're going to have live music, and hopefully we'll be able throughout the rest of the month to collect a lot of funding for this wonderful nonprofit that does really amazing work. And in fact, some of the prints will be of their copies. I'm doing prints, a limited series prints of some of the artwork that came out of one of their art programs. So Breast Friends has got an art program called Connections, and they use art as a way of healing. And so I was fortunate enough to be able to go through some of the journals of some of the participants, and so then I selected a few artworks that will be available as limited prints again, for this fundraiser. So if the weather collaborates, we'll be able to do this.
And where is it going to be again, Daria? Where and when?
It's going to be on this Saturday, 5 to 7 p.m. at Imperfecta, at the gallery.
Oh, at your gallery. All right.
Hopefully, there's going to be live music and edible artistic jello. I have an art jello is a thing, and
I didn't know that.
You're not, and so we're gonna have some art pieces that are edible.
Oh my God, that's gonna be fun. Okay.
Yes.
Soul Flags is, as I've already mentioned, once the Lunar New Year, February 3rd, at the Pioneer Community Center from 12 to 3. We'll have dragon dancers, because it's the year of the dragon, and food, music, art activities, games, all sorts of fun, different things for all ages. So Pioneer Community Center.
Maybe that's it. But we do take in the communication section. We usually take the last 5+ minutes or so of the meeting for everyone to just share with others what they're working on, what's going on in the community. So that's what we do with our communication section. But if you want to close us out, Tima, I think we may be done.
All right, everyone, I don't have a gavel, but this officially ends our meeting for January 18 at from 7 o'clock to 8:35 p.m. So thank you all for participating, and have a wonderful, safe weekend. And I hope the weather cooperates for everybody. So, all right, thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.